Finish him.
Welcome to Hitman Boxing. Hit that like and subscribe button. Let's talk Gary Russell Jr. and Devin Haney. Now, both of these guys have had a war of words over the last couple of weeks, both calling each other out. Gary Russell wanting to fight Devin Haney, not really caring what network it's going to be on. And, apparently Devin Haney and his team provided the contract, $1.5 million, which is what little Gary Russell was asking for. But now there seems to be a holdup with the rematch clause. But before we get into the rematch clause, let's get into Gary Russell Jr. and how I can't understand why anyone gives a shit about Gary Russell Jr. because he's all bark and no bite. And, he talks a lot of trash. He's called out Terrence Crawford. He's calling out all these fighters outside of his weight class. He's calling out Tank. Like, why? I get why, because you've been really inactive for the second part of your career, have you not? Since 2014, since 2015, you've only fought one time a year. You know what else happens one time a year? The fucking carnival. Christmas happens once a year. Your birthday's once a year. So why are you so inactive? And let's talk about your competition that you've been facing, since Lomachenko laid that, beat down on you back in 2014. Maybe that's the reason why you haven't been very active, because Lomachenko smoked you. And you know what? Funny thing is, you talk about rematch clauses, but you weren't too excited about jumping back in with Lomachenko. And anytime someone brought up Lomachenko to you, you wanted to downplay it, you want to end the interview, right? But now all of a sudden, Gary Russell standing at 5'4", and I've smashed bitches taller than 5'4", 5'6", 5'7", but for some reason this guy runs his mouth consistently. Every time I look at the video, talking about show what it is, show what it is. Well, nobody talks like that, all right? Nobody talks like that no more, Gary, all right? You've been fighting bums since 2015. You're not on that world-class level anymore, even if you never were, okay? Gary Russell, I've never been impressed with anything you've done, okay? Jojo Diaz, he was going to the body on you, unanimous decision, you got the nod. You're not doing nothing in the sport of boxing, and you're going to fight Devin Haney, okay? Young, up-and-coming guy. He's a little arrogant, too, just like you are. But you, in terms of arrogance, you are at the very top. And, he's a close second to you. But, I'd take Devin Haney to smack you around the ring, all right? Because he's a little bit taller and he's got longer reach. And, he hasn't fought the best competition. But he's a prospect, highly regarded in the sport of boxing. I think he beats you. No problem. All right? Now, of course, Gary Russell Jr. wants the rematch to probably be on PBC, Showtime, some combination of the two. But, he's scared, all right? Gary's scared. He has the contract. Sign the contract, okay? You say you can beat Devin Haney, sign the contract, beat him on DAZN, then beat him on DAZN again. What's the big deal? What's the big deal, Shawty, right? That's what you say, Shawty, right? Anyway, again, Gary Russell Jr., I don't really regard him as a great fighter. My issue with him is his inactivity. Like a lot of the PBC guys, he's inactive. This fight isn't even on BoxRec. This fight's probably not even going to go down because of Gary Russell Jr. He really thinks he's better than what he really is. You know what I mean? And it's really frustrating. But let's see. Let's just get into a couple of his statements, right? We're just getting everything situated on our end. We're just getting the particulars ready. All that shit about somebody capping. Ain't nobody capping. We're in this motherfucking grinding. This shit is real. You're going to get your little scorched. You don't even know it. Okay. I can't even read this dude's quote off because there's too much profanity and they're going to take my video down. But you get the point, okay? Gary Russell is just a loudmouth midget, all right? He can't beat Devin Haney. He can't beat Terrence Crawford. He can't beat Gervonta Tank Davis. He can't beat Lomachenko, all right? He can't beat none of them dudes. He'll make it seem like he can beat them dudes. Did you forget that day, June 21st, 2014, StubHub Center? You remember that? You remember that beating you took from Lomachenko? And then it was just a string of inactivity after that. 2015, Johnny Gonzalez. 2016, Patrick Hyland. 2017, Oscar Escandon. 2018, Jojo Diaz. 2019, Kiko Martinez. You're not active, bruh. So nobody's checking for you. Nobody's checking for you. This the most. I've been on YouTube for like 4 years, and it's the most anybody's ever talked about Gary Russell Jr. I got no videos about this guy. None. I got maybe one video where I mentioned him because I thought he wasn't shit. Gary Russell Jr. Give me a break, man. Just go over to the zone. You think you can beat Devin Haney? Go ahead and do it. But he's a young, upcoming prospect. Okay, he's young. I just can't. I can't with the Gary Russell. Y'all been telling me to comment on this, but I can't stand Gary Russell. Devin Haney, you know, again, somewhat of a protege of Floyd Mayweather, and then this guy Gary Russell said, "Yeah, when I beat Shawty, you know, it'd be like I beat Mayweather." Like, come on, man. Come on, man. No, it's not. You're not gonna beat Devin Haney. That's why you don't want to. That's why you don't want to sign a contract, and you want to, you know, make up excuses about a rematch clause. You the one capping. Let me just read out some more of this guy's quotes. These quotes are, you know, I can't even read these quotes. Too much profanity. He said, "I hope Floyd Mayweather is training you for this, young son, because when I beat your ass, it's going to be like I'm beating Floyd ass." He only said that because Floyd made a comment about him a few years ago. About how he was overrated, because Gary Russell Jr. is overrated, clearly. Why don't you fight here? I got a better suggestion for you, Gary Russell Jr. Why don't you fight Lomachenko after he faces Teofimo Lopez? Why don't you fight him after that? Why don't you fight Mikey Garcia? Because he was just talking about you recently in the news too. He said, "Who cares about Gary Russell Jr.? I don't even want to be making this video because I don't care about Gary Russell Jr. Nobody likes you. I don't like you. The fans don't like you. Nobody's paying a ticket. Nobody's going to StubHub. Nobody's going online to buy tickets. Like, oh man, Gary Russell about to fight again? Oh, bro. Oh, Shawty. We gonna watch Gary Russell fight." No, nobody says that. Okay, you're 32 years old. Play with inactivity. You're fighting bums on PBC. It's about time you take a step up. And, you know, of course, those who are going to be hateful are going to hate on Devin Haney. They're going to bring up his resume. But, you know, in this situation, I can't agree. Because I'm pretty sure, as my UK people say, he will spark you out. Gary, you don't beat it. You don't beat any of the top tier guys in any of these weight classes. You ran from Terrence Crawford. Tank laughs at you. Nobody takes this guy serious. Why am I even making a video about him? Hitman Boxing, drop a comment, like the video, subscribe, and I'm sure y'all are Gary Russell Jr. fans. You love inactive fighters that talk trash and don't do nothing and haven't done nothing with their career at all, except for lose to Lomachenko. That's the highlight of your career. Getting beat down by him. That speed ain't help. That hand speed ain't help you then, did it? Fastest hands in boxing. My ass. Hitman Boxing, I'm out.